Smith. What's going on, Brother Bear?
G-Man. Hey, life is good. That's all I gotta say, man. The rain has stopped here in central PA. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. Little probably on the humid side, but still, hey, it's good because the sun is out. That's a positive note, man. But I am having the time of my life as I sit here and chat with you about Pittsburgh sports with all those hillbilly Yinzers out there that we want to keep up to date and we want to eventually hear from as well.
That's a great day for our next hillbilly Yinzer. And our big topics for tonight is going to be the hot topic, which is Aaron Rodgers coming aboard as quarterback. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts. And then we're also going to continue to talk about our man Ben Cherington and how all of his wonderful acquisitions and trades are working out this year. And then we're going to select our Jag-Off of the week, which might be Baron Cherington. We'll see. But anyway, let's start with Rodgers. Rodgers, discount double check.
Give me what you got. Give me your Rodgers take.
All right, I'll start. Okay, so obviously it was a saga, and everybody was chiming in on it, from national pundits all the way down to your regular Steeler fan worldwide. And I don't know how the fans break on it, but it reminded me of the Lamar Jackson thing last year. There were Baltimore fans just tearing him up for holding out, for not coming to OTAs, for not coming to minicamp. And as soon as he won a couple of games, he was their hero again. Now, Rodgers does what he did 2 years ago to the Jets, and only he's doing it to our storied franchise this time around. But here's my take. It doesn't matter if he comes in and he's mediocre. It's a slight upgrade at the quarterback position. Him and Rudolph is a slight upgrade at the quarterback position over Wilson and Fields. That might be an unpopular take, but I think it's true. Caleb Johnson is going to be a slight upgrade at RB1 or RB2 or whatever he's going to be, because Najee Harris was probably a worse pick than Kenny Pickett. So you're slightly upgraded there. You're definitely upgraded there with Gainwell coming in. The line, you got Troy, what's his name, Fontenot, the first-round pick last year. Hopefully he's going to actually play this year. And what's the other guy? Faulau? I got to memorize these names.
No, Isaac Segamolo, the guard, yeah. See, we don't even know. That's all right. That's okay.
Hey, can you bring up the graphic? Production department, bring up the graphic.
Production
anyway,
department.
Point about the line would be slight upgrade, right? Slight upgrade. Receiver position, DK Metcalf, slight upgrade over Pickens. And if we happen to land another, receiver in the free agent market, or somehow trade for that tight end and for the Dolphins, I think we're slightly upgraded there. And then we can start to look at the defense later. But going back to Rodgers, we all know what he's like. We all know what he was going to say. His press conference was intelligent and elegant, and he was talking about all the Yinzers in his life, and he knows exactly what to say. Now can he still play football? The biggest takeaway from me is turnovers. He's not going to turn the ball over probably as much as Russell Wilson. So if he can just not do that, he's probably going to plug into Smith's offense a little bit better. So that's my take. I think it's a very, very slight upgrade, which might get us to 11 wins, including that playoff victory.
Oh.
Hot take.
Oh.
All right, go.
Wow. Okay, Aaron Rodgers. Let's see. Not excited about it. That's because I just don't enjoy the drama that he brings. If we just had a regular quarterback, that'd be great. Is he an upgrade? Yes. Is he going to help the Steelers? Potentially. I mean, the nice thing that you have about Rodgers is he's familiar with Aaron Smith's offensive scheme because they work together. Well, not they. Arthur Smith, I believe, and Matt LaFleur with the Packers work together. So there's some commonality on the offensive scheme. and the knowledge of what goes on. So he could be a benefit right away on the offensive take. But let's also take a look at the offensive line. I like your enthusiasm, but you're talking about one tackle who did not play at all last year, a guard who's another year older, a West Virginian at center, another year stronger, the left guard, I think another year stronger,
McCormick.
and then you have Broderick Jones, which
Broad.
we got no clue. Now,
He better do it this year.
they do say that Aaron has the quickest release. Well, he may need it based on what Broderick Jones could do. Now, at the same time, you could put a tight end on that side, whether it's Freiermuth or whether it's Darnell, Washington, whatever, to help stop or help the time to give Rodgers to view everything and make the throw. So that is all up in the air, in my opinion, when it comes to the offensive line. The running game is another snag because, Jalen Warren's a 2-3 down back, not a 1. Is this Caleb Johnson the animal that everybody thinks he is based on how his performance went in Iowa? I don't know. Is the line going to be able to open up the holes for Johnson? That I don't know either. Gainwell, not sure. He's, to me, another 2-3 down back. So we'll have to see what goes on that perspective. And then you have the wide receiver core. DK to me is just George Pickens 4 years older. Another whiner, another guy that just is going to cry about things left and right. But that's all going to be based on his relationship with Rodgers and getting him the ball. The other wide receivers, who knows? Will we get an R2? Well, will they listen to Rodgers to get Allen Lazard? Will we trade for Allen Lazard? Will we find another wide receiver? Here's what I would say about that. And I listen to DK just kind of like you do. There's a lot of leverage to that where he's been around. He knows some wide receivers. He can help choose which one would make sense. You got to give the guy the credit from that perspective instead of just going out and finding somebody. But then you also have Calvin. You got Roman Wilson, who still hasn't played yet. You got Robert Woods. Yeah, you got Woods. Who knows from all of this stuff? But the advantage you got to give it, as you had said, from the perspective of being an upgrade over Wilson and Fields, is that at least Rodgers is going to throw over in the middle of the field. You know what I'm saying? As long as he's going to throw there, there's going to be opportunities. Now, I'm not a big Rodgers fan. Let's be honest with it. I do think Tomlin has worn his stay. So as a fan, you kind of want, you know what, I want the Steelers to fall flat on their face, and hopefully they'll ask Tomlin just to kind of please move on out the door so we can find somebody new. But at the same time, I'm also a diehard fan that says, we got Rodgers. There's what's that phrase? So you're telling me there's a
Discount
chance.
double check.
You're telling me there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. And that's what it is. It comes down to it. It's how are they going to perform on their schedule? And then we haven't talked to defense yet. So, is it an upgrade? I think time will tell, to be honest with you. I don't know. I really don't know. And I think a lot of it will be determined on that very first game against the Jets. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. From an offensive standpoint, I think Arthur will make some of those changes. It's the stubborn meathead Tomlin. Will he adjust? He didn't adjust again last year, where it's kind of like that, we're going to play our game, beat us. And last year they went, 10-7, so 7 teams beat them, and then it got beat again in the playoffs. And you just can't do that anymore. I don't think you could have done it the last couple years. But again, he's the head coach. I don't know.
Well, sounds like you're not as optimistic as I am about it. That's all right. That's all right. I was optimistic about Tommy Pham, too. Look how that worked out.
Hey, one of us has to be optimistic. The other one has to be not necessarily pessimistic, but maybe realistic on what's going to happen. So, I'm kind of with you in the sense that, I'm not as optimistic, but I think it's going to be one of those years again where you're 9-8. You know what I'm saying? You're 8-9. We're
that's
stuck
entirely
in the middle.
possible. Them going 9-8 for sure, or worse.
Yeah.
But I just think I like our material a little bit better. It's not a Najee fan, man. When you can't break one tackle, I'm not a fan. You're in the NFL. So they're talking really great things about this Caleb Johnson. And Jalen Warren's awesome, dude. I know he can't play 3 downs, but, if we have those 3 guys and they're kind of interchangeable and somebody can step in when somebody gets hurt, that's such a better situation than we had, I think. Now, you're right. Will the line be able to clear any holes for him? Who knows? But it seems like this kid, just looking at his Iowa highlights, he's a little bit more elusive than, he's a lot more elusive than Najee. But and he might not be as elusive as Jalen, but he's somewhere in between, and he's just big. He's a big mother scratcher, man. He's like 235 and fast. So I'm pretty encouraged about that. So let's move on to our second topic, which is we wanted to see how people are feeling now about Ben Cherington after his star acquisitions have now risen back to the major leagues, namely Spencer Horwitz, who is hitting 207, I think. He's got 1 home run, which he celebrated by pounding his chest in the dugout. And he's been so impressive that Jared Triolo has played first base, I think, 2 of the last 5 games and looked better than Horwitz. So there's that. And then if you look at what Luis Ortiz is doing in Cleveland, he's really good. He's a really good starting pitcher. And then, of course, Tommy Pham, who, instead of being a leader and helping O'Neal Cruz grow up, he's a sulking, mediocre, less than mediocre, just out machine. And, they should have DFA'd him a while ago. So, Adam Frazier, I like Adam Frazier. He's doing exactly what we thought he was going to do. And he is kind of a leader. I mean, he's supposed to be the one that kind of helped Hank figure out his swing a little bit. He adopted the Nicky Barrels mustache the last few days. The little hook down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
You got to love that camaraderie. And who was their other? Is there another free agent acquisition? Oh, the pitchers. Yeah. Haney's been good. I mean, our pitching staff's been good, so we can't really complain too much about that. But he could have gone out and got a bat, any bat. And I know that some of these guys that were targets, that should have been targets, like Austin Hayes, have gotten hurt since, Horwitz came up. And so that, I think, and he has a history of being injured, Austin Hayes. And some of these other guys weren't sure things. But just like last year, you could have pulled all the money you spent on Rowdy Tellez and Michael A. Taylor, and gotten one good big bat in the free agent pool instead of trying to piecemeal the Tommy Phams, of the world onto your team. So Cherington's just what I'm trying to get to is he's a miserable failure of a general manager. And anyone can see it. And it doesn't matter that Donnie Ball's 15-15. Yes. It doesn't matter. It's like if that's the end of the rainbow. Remember we were talking about Neil Brown, WVU, how the end of the rainbow was 8-4 and getting dunked by Mayo, by a massive jar of mayonnaise. That's the pinnacle of his coaching existence. Well, if the end of the rainbow here is being a 500 team, which would be an upgrade over the last 2 years, then get out. Get out. That's not what we want. We would rather get relegated to AAA, and play Buffalo and all these AAA teams, and rather than being the embarrassment of Major League Baseball. So why isn't he out? Why can't Nutting realize that you got to bring somebody in during the season, and it's got to be somebody who's an up-and-comer for another organization? You're not going to go out and steal another general manager from another Major League Baseball team. You've got to get, an up-and-comer like Dan Muse for the Pens. But anyway, why is Ben Cherington still the GM?
Nothing realized, nothing done. I mean, it's what it comes down to. It's a great question.
Nothing ventured.
No,
Nutting
nothing
gained.
venture as well.
Yeah.
Look, G-Man, it's a great question, and I think everybody in Pittsburgh who is a Pirates fan or a Pittsburgh fan period is asking the same question. Is that a Nutting thing? Is that a Williams thing? Who's overseeing this? Is Williams the same level as Cherington? I don't know. I really don't. And you're right. Cherington has been a miserable failure. You got to give him slight kudos on the pitching because the pitching has been good. Yet I will still complain that they're not consistent. Even Mitch last night. I mean, Mitch pitched a really good game. What he lost 3-2 the other night.
Yeah, he has 10 quality starts out of his 13,
So
and he's
he
1-9.
He pitched that 3-2 game, and I think that
possible.
Jagoff gave up either a home run or a 2-run home run. I think it was a home run. That guy continues to give up home runs, and I don't understand why that pitching staff doesn't understand. They're on an island. They're on their own. The island, the mound, that's pretty good. They need to do everything they can to win the game. Nothing behind them on an offensive side is going to win the game for them. So they have to limit the opposition. We won't get into the pitching staff because it is a better pitching staff this year. But from a perspective of offense, yeah, you're right. And I don't know necessarily about one big bat, but if you had two above average bats with some maturity, this team would definitely be a heck of a lot better. Now, where would you put those two big bats with average maturity? That I don't. First and left, maybe. We talked about this a long time, and O'Neill's in center. I mean, Kutch is playing well, but oh my God, Kutch is like, and again, I'm sitting here in the 50s, my age. Kutch is what, in his 30s, late 30s maybe?
He's 37.
Yeah,
he's
and
one of
we're
the
saying-
best 5 bats on our team, though.
Oh, without a doubt. But that's the sad thing to say about it too, is because he's not an everyday, and it's just, yeah, it's debacle. And I don't know what to say. The sad part about it is if they keep him for the draft, is he drafting then? And if he's going to be let go at the end of the year, why did we let him draft? And who is he going to draft?
He can't be involved with the draft if you're going to fire him.
So maybe they're not firing him then.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't think he's firing him.
I mean, if you're going to fire him, you got to fire him now. What's the point of having him? And then, like you said, there's no GM out there that's going to raise his hand and say, I'm going to take over and do better. It's not. Because they all know what Nunnington's going to do. And if they're not going to give you the resources to win, then you're going to go within the organization. And who's that going to be? I mean, it hasn't shown any growth internally. And, as you had said it with Donnie Ball, I mean, great job, Kelly, man. God bless you. Taking the team and doing what you're doing, that's awesome. It's
It
great.
took a lot of guts to come out there and take that ball from Skeens with 2 outs and nobody on the other day.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he did that. I watched
knowing
that
that you cost him a win.
And I had to listen on FS. No, I'd listen.
Worked out though.
I had to listen on the Phillies station to watch that game. So I had to hear the Phillies commentators, blah 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 blah. But they were saying the same thing. Why are you taking him out? There's nobody on. I'm like, yeah, that takes me back to the 70s when I didn't even like Richie Ashburn and those guys calling Philly games against the Pirates. But, yeah, you're right about it. From an offensive standpoint, I don't know how you didn't prepare better or how you actually thought that a Tommy Pham or whatever statistic gurus that you have underneath you really felt that this guy was going to do the job that Brad Pitt did in Moneyball. I mean, come on. It's just... it's just a disappointment.
I'd rather have Scott Hatteberg, though, than Spencer Horwitz.
Yeah. But, I mean, here's the thing that we always talk about, or I always bring up. Now you've just wasted everybody's year of playing baseball.
So he brings in guys like Horwitz and Pham and last year De La Cruz, who had enjoyed some success with previous teams. The difference is those guys are just like support pieces on those teams, and when you bring somebody in as a free agent like that, it just adds too much pressure to a Spencer Horwitz, or Brian De La Cruz, and they try to go out there and be something that they're not. And then you got guys that really we need to step up and be leaders, like Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz, and
Brown Hayes.
there's a different reason why every one of those guys can't be a leader. Brian Reynolds, because, I know he's a competitive professional baseball player, but he's just too laid back, man. He never talks, I don't think.
Yeah.
O'Neal Cruz, because he's just playing a beer league softball game half the time. Key Brian Hayes, because how can you lead when your exit velocity, can't break a stained glass window, and you, what is it? He's of his hits this year, only 6 of them are extra base hits or something like that.
Yeah, I
think
think
he's got like 40 something singles.
Yeah.
So how can you be a leader if you're a punch and Judy? It doesn't matter how great of a fielder you are.
Yeah.
Hank can't be a leader because he still hasn't really gotten a foothold.
Right.
Skeens could do it, and he probably does on some level, definitely for the pitching staff. And at some point, he'll be the leader of the entire team. When Kutch retires here. But they don't have a clear-cut leader there, and therefore you bring guys in like that, and they just press too hard. I'm sure Spencer Horwitz is going to go on the DL here any day now because he's just going to try too hard, and he's going to mess up his wrist again. And not that it matters, because he makes absolutely no difference on the team.
Nope.
I don't know what his WAR is or what any of the statistics are, but he makes no difference at all. You could play Triolo there every day, and it would be the same thing, same effectiveness.
Yeah.
And Pham, forget Pham. You're better off bringing Jack Sawinski up and putting them out there again than Pham.
Yeah.
So I can't believe we're forced to watch this for 162 ball games, because this was the year. This is year 6. This was the year your prospects that you drafted are all supposed to hit. And you can't miss on first-round picks. I think we've missed on Henry Davis. I think we've missed on a bunch of first-round picks.
Yep. There was so much of a need for a catcher because they had no plan whatsoever. Kind of like the Steelers not having a quarterback succession plan. They didn't have one for the catching situation, so they went out and drafted Henry. I think it was all probably, not that he was a bad catcher, but more because they could get him dollar-wise. And here's where we're at again.
His defense has improved, though. They screwed him up by putting him in right field for a year, but his defense is pretty good. It's better than Bart.
They did that because of Endy, and now they screwed Endy. Endy's going back on the DL.
Endy and Jared Jones are done.
Jeez.
They're done. But Davis's defense, but he just still can't hit. He's getting some hits, but instead of hitting 130, he's hitting 190 now.
I know, but I think Hank needs his time. He just needs his bats, and they've been jerking him around for the last 2 years now, up and down and up and down and up, and you don't give him that consistency. And I think
he's getting it now.
Well, and they should, and I think that's what we need to do, or they need to do, is to make sure he gets that consistency. You're right. We're 6 years into this program. You would think after year 4, we'd be at 500. With some acquisitions, with the internal draft, we would be at 500, and right now we would be competing. We're not. And that extra piece in year 5 and 6 this year would kind of push us over the edge to be even closer to a wild card. And here we are, what are we, 13 games now? 17 games below 500 in year 6. And
let's just count Donnie Ball. We're 500.
Well, with Donnie Ball, we're 500. But the league is not playing Donnie Ball. The league is playing the overall ball. And with that said, it's one of those things where
Donnie figured out fellow Yenzer Bednar. Donnie takes the ball from Skeens. He's got balls, man. He's got balls. But anyway, something's got to be done there, because somebody's just got to slap Cherington in the face and say, dude, you've got to learn from these free agent acquisitions and just go out. Convince Bob that we just got to go out and try to swing for the fences on this and get a Santander or an Alonso or something. You got to offer them as much as these other teams are offering them, because those guys are used to being stars. They're not going to come in and feel too much pressure to play out there in right field and look at the Roberto Clemente sign. You know, they're gonna relish it. They're gonna embrace it. So now, I don't want him to even have the chance to do this, but if he is gonna stay on, someone's got to slap him and tell him this off season, that's what you got to go pick up. Even if it's just one freaking guy, just pick up one guy. Don't bring Dela Cruz and Horwitz and Taylor and Rowdy in here.
All right, so let me share this with you.
Yasmani.
As much as Donnie has success, Cherington's staying. They're not going to get rid of him. If Donnie continues to have success, Cherington will be there. And at the end of the year, he's going to get the same old lingo.
What is success, though? I mean,
well,
500 is...
They're not going to get 500. But
I mean,
if
Donnie.
You say Donnie Ball gets you 500, then people go, well, what happens if Donnie was the starter of the season, the manager?
Oh, I'm
Where
sure
would
that's
they
what
have
they're
been?
going to say, yeah.
I'm just telling you. I don't think they'll get rid of Cherington because Donnie's got him playing baseball. Number two, if they were, he would be not available for the June draft, in my opinion. Number three, what's Nutting going to do? He's going to give Cherington the same thing next year. No money, and you're going to be scraping the gum off the sidewalks, and it'll be another Tommy Pham out there that we're going to scrape the gum off and throw him out in left field because they haven't developed anybody who can hit.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're going to waste another year in 2025 of our emotions. And the weird part is, it's like you and I, because we love the Pirates and we love the Steelers, etc. You put all your hopes and eggs in the baskets of 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds that are like, you know what? Some of them can't even handle pressure. But it is sad to see an organization with such dignity and pride be where it's at today. And I just don't know where we're going to go, G-Man. I know we're going to eventually go out and see a game. I know we will. Because it's a beautiful ballpark. It's a great setting. Great food, great environment. Unfortunately, we'll probably never see Bob Nutting unless we go to his house.
Oh, we're going on Halloween, so we'll see him that night.
With our pitchfork and fake fire and stand outside.
Trick or treat.
Just say, I don't know. But, no, it again, we're going to talk about this in length at times because it's an irritation. But, again, Nutting's just not going to do anything. It's unfortunate, but he's just not. He is who he is. So.
Well, I guess when Bubba comes up and, I mean, we're just going to have to win games 2-1 next year. Can we win 100 games 2-1, buddy?
Well, no. I mean, right now, there was the rumors about trading Skeens, and I saw that the rumors were still persisting. So, do you trade Skeens? I don't know. No. So that's the whole thing. You know, if you think Bubba's the next Skeens, you're going to trade him now and you're going to ask for at least three
first round,
4 people who can make an impact right away.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's what you're going to do. I don't think Cherington can pull the trigger. I don't think that I would pull the trigger, especially this year. But the more you jag off around, the more you jag off around, the less Skeens is going to want to be there. And then, he's ultimately gone. So, I don't know. Man.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll pick this up at the next episode, and we can also talk a little bit of Dan Muse. It is Dan Muse, isn't it? And then we were going to start leading up to the backyard brawl, so we got a lot of talk about there. A lot of topics we could go with, but this week we just wanted to touch on the hottest topics.
Hey, let me jump in real quick. What's the deal with Blaine Bishop scraping his cleats on a freaking pit logo? What's his name?
Beanie Bishop.
Well, whatever. What's he doing that for?
You guys are so sensitive, man.
Come on, man.
What the hell? Come
on.
You've won 2 of the 3 games.
Oh, come
Beanie
on.
can't scrape his cleats on your logo. Wait, Zach Frazier said it best. This is the Steelers' locker room. That shouldn't be here.
That shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad it added to the rivalry a little bit because it is going to be one of the best backyard brawls ever.
I think it'll be a good one.
Guarantee you that Rich Rod is going to pull out every stop, man. So that ought to be a humdinger.
It will
But
be.
yeah, as we get closer to that game and the season and college basketball too, we got a lot of opinions on that. I know you do with your coach, and we can continue to talk about Penguins too, like how are they going to reshape. But we just wanted to talk about the two hot topics today, which was Rodgers and Cherington, who's always the hottest topic in my book.
How sad is that?
So why don't we tell people about the people that are supporting us as we build this thing? Go, buddy.
Duh Yinzers. Duh Yinzers. So tonight's Hillbilly Yinzer podcast is brought to you by Crawford's Black and Gold Gift Shop, located in Breezewood, PA. Crawford's has all the trendiest official merchandise from your favorite Steel City teams. They offer the largest selection of Steelers, Penguins, Pirates gear. Check it out at crawfordsgiftshop.com.
Sing it with us. Here we go. The Steelers. Here we go. Pittsburgh's gone to the Super Bowl. Here we go. All right. Well.
Oh, no. This week's Jag-Off of the Week. We have to put this one on.
All right. Our candidates are
I think there's only
Ben
one.
Cherington, Aaron Rodgers, and Mike Tomlin. Two of the three were candidates last time. I can't remember who won, but all right, who's your vote?
My vote's Cherington. I'm sorry. Cherington's my Jag-Off of the Week. He's the Jag-Off of the Week.
All right.
He is. And yours,
Cherington
Gus?
is definitely my Jag-Off of the week. He's also my Jag-Off of the last 2.5 years. All right, if that's a prize. All right. So, yeah, email us, podcast@hillbillyinzer.com if you have candidates for Jag-Off of the week. And we will enter their names into future contests. And and Hillbilly Yinzer has just one Y. It shares the Y. So you can go to our website or you can go to YouTube and type that one word in, Hillbilly Yinzer. And we'll see you next episode. All right, buddy?
You got it, brother.
All right. Let's go Buccos.
Let's
Sweep
go
them Cubbies.
Buccos.
Sweep them Cubbies.
Steelers going to the Super Bowl.
Yep. All right. See you next time.
You got it.